Well, good morning, everybody. What a great morning it is. It is Sunday morning, and it is time for Morning Manna Special Edition. Special Edition. Now, let me tell you why we're having a special edition. It's because here in the St. Louis metropolitan area, it was forecasted it was going to be ice, and I tell you, I made a decision as the leader of our church, wonderful church, New Life in Christ, interdenominational church, made a decision that we didn't want our congregants to risk life or limb because you just can't play with ice. You just can't play with ice. So we decided that we were going to have worship over the internet. Over the internet. And what I want to do is just ask you to give you a little bit of the ground rules, and then we're going to get right into the Word of God this morning. First of all, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being a part. If you are not a life changer, and we call ourselves life changers, we are so glad that you're a part. Come on and stay with us for the next few minutes. I'm going to share a powerful word with you. It's always the text, the talk, and the takeaway. And we ask you to do this. We ask you to make comments so that I can respond to your comments throughout the day and that others can receive the revelation that you get. We also ask if you would please share it. Share it. Share it as often as you like. And then third, please give us the likes and the hearts. It kind of is the amens of Facebook Live. That's the amens of Facebook Live. We know that we're speaking into your heart when we do that and when we see those responses that you have. So wonderful day here in the Midwest. And though the ice hasn't come, you made a decision. And you know what? That's why the windshield is bigger than the rearview mirror, because you're always looking forward. You can't look back and say, oh man, woulda, coulda, shoulda. I ain't living my life that way. So here we go. We're going to move forward with the word and share the word with you on this morning. Got a great word for you on this morning. And I just want to start out with this. Now, some of you are parents, and I'm so thankful that you may have your kids with you right now and you're watching. Or you might have remembered when you were small yourself. There you are riding in the car, and or you're sitting at the table, or sitting in the on the living room couch, or whatever the case may be, and the sibling punches you or say, you know what, so and so, they looking at me, they touch me, they have my stuff, whatever the case may be. The bottom line is this: they're looking for their space. Everybody wants their space. Everybody wants my area, my territory. I want what belongs to me, and I don't want anybody else to get what belongs to me. It is my space, and there's always somebody trying to keep you from your space and what God has for you. Let me read the text to you this morning, and I think you'll get what I'm about to share. It is in Genesis 26, and beginning at the 12th verse. Genesis 26, beginning at the 12th or 15th verse or so. I'm going to read from the NIV translation. Please follow along in the version of your choice. It says, Isaac planted crops in that land, and the same year reaped 100-fold, because the Lord blessed him. The man became rich, and his wealth continued to grow until he became very wealthy. Listen, he had so many flocks and his herds and servants, and the Philistines envied him. Wow, here you go. So all the wells that his father servants had dug in the time of the Philistines, they stopped him, filling them with earth. All of the wells that his father dug beforehand, the Philistines stopped him and filled those wells with dirt. Listen. Then Abimelech said to Isaac, move away from us. You have become too powerful for us. So Isaac moved away from there and encamped in the valley of Gerar and settled there. Isaac reopened the wells that had been dug, listen, by his father Abraham. Listen to this. The Philistines stopped him again, and he gave them the name that showed that he was upset by them stopping. Listen, Isaac's servants dug in the valley and discovered a well that was fresh there. Here's the 20th verse. But the herdsmen of Gerar quarreled again. Here they are quarreling again. The water is ours. Listen to what he's saying. The water is ours. So the name that he called the well was Esek. because they disputed him there. 21. Here's verse 21. Then they dug another well, but they quarreled over that one. They quarreled over that one also. So he named it Sitnah. Here's 22. Here it is. Here's the revelation. You got to come. Got to get this. He moved on from there and dug another well, and no one quarreled over it. Listen to what the Lord said. And the Lord named it Rehoboth, for I have made room for you. 22, he named it Rehoboth because the Lord made room for him. There's always somebody trying to stop you from getting your space. How are you going to get your space and all that God has for you in 2017? Got 5 things I want to share with you this morning. Hang in there, going to be great. The first thing is you got to keep digging. Look at verse 1 in that chapter. You've got to keep digging. Let me remind you, there's a famine in the land. It's dry. There's nothing going on in the land. Why would you continue to dig? Because the Lord said you got to keep digging. Though it looks dry and parched for everybody else, not for you in 2017. You got to keep on digging, and you can't let anybody stop you from digging because there is a famine in the land. There may be some dryness in the land. I don't care how many folks say they don't have a job. That's not going to be you. I don't care how many folks say they're going through. You've got to say, I've got to keep on digging irregardless of the situation. Why? Because the Lord has told me to do so. The Lord has told me to do so. So I'm going to find my space, one, by keep on digging. Number 2, you got to keep on deciding. You got to keep on deciding no matter what. I want you to look at verse 17 in that same chapter, verse 17, and you will see that he decided that he needed to move. Abimelech, the king there, said, you know what, you're getting too big, you're getting too powerful. And that's what happens so often. People get so intimidated by what God is doing in your life. And you've got to make a decision. I can't keep these relationships. Whenever you detect that somebody's coming at you because of what God is doing for you, that's a relationship that you don't need in 2017. You got to break that off. And you can always discern when somebody's a little bit jealous of what the Lord is doing, jealous of your anointing, jealous of what God is doing in your life, jealous of all of the things that are happening for you. And you've got to make a decision. You got to make a decision. 1, keep on digging. 2, you got to decide, I don't need that relationship any longer. And in verse 17, that's exactly what Isaac did. Isaac said, I'm moving on. Can't stay here because this relationship is not profitable for me. It's not going to bring me anything good because what I have is intimidating. You've ever been around somebody that is intimidated by what God is doing in your life? You ever been at work and people are intimidated by the promotions that you get? Intimidated by the creativity that you have? Intimidated by all of the things that is happening for you? And you think to yourself, you know what, should I keep this relationship or not? No. Abimelech, you need to name them right now. Write down on your piece of paper, your name is Abimelech, baby. I'm out. I'm out. I can't hang with you. Clearly, you are intimidated. I try to be friends with you, but you can't. I just cannot deal with you. So the next time you see that person, that situation, even if it's a family member, you just say underneath your breath, Abimelech. You are an Abimelech spirit, so I can't stay with you. I gotta make a decision to keep on moving. The third thing is this: you got to keep on declaring. You got to keep on declaring, and that's found in verse 18. Now, I got to explain something to you. During biblical times, you establish deeds of property or the deed of land or ownership. You declared that by digging a well. That's what you did. The moment you dug a well, you were saying that the land around you is yours and that territory belongs to you. It's as if we were to now purchase a home. And when you purchase a home and you're at the closing table and you sign all of those documents, many of those documents find their way to the courthouse. Why? so that if somebody ever does a title search on you, they start looking for who owns that property, they can then find out by going to the courthouse and finding the title or the deed. The deed and any liens against it, whoever owns it or whoever is coming against it, whether you're paying your taxes as well. Here's the bottom line. Every time Isaac dug a well, he was establishing property deeds. He was establishing property deeds, and he was declaring. You've got to decide in 2017 that you make a declaration. I'm declaring that 2017, God, you're going to make a space for me. You're going to make room for me. You're going to do what I believe that you're supposed to do in my life. And you got to make that declaration. Decree a thing and it shall be so. Speak it. Walk by faith and not by sight. You are the head and not the tail. You can call those things that are not as though they were. Declare. Declare. Here's the fourth thing that you got to do. You got to keep depending on God. I want you to look at verse 22. When you look at verse 22 in the 26th chapter of Genesis, you find this. You find that the Lord said to him, at this particular area where there's nobody running their mouths about where he was beginning to dig, God said that I'm making space for you. I'm making room for you. And Isaac said, I'm calling this place the Hebrew word Rehoboth. Rehoboth, which means God has made room for me. God has moved folk out of the way. God has cleared some stuff. God has done some things in my life. God is moving those obstacles out of my way. God is moving the enemy out of my way. God is moving the haters out of my way. Don't you worry about who's hating on you. Don't you worry about what is trying to come up against you, whether it's cancer or whether it's cancerous friends. Don't you worry about that, because God is making room for you. No matter the obstacle, he's making room for you. So you've got to keep depending. You got to keep depending on God. Here's the fifth thing. The fifth thing is this. Keep your destiny. Keep your destiny. Got to explain this one. It's going to take a little bit of time for me to explain this one. In verse 3, you will notice in verse 3, it says, these are the wells that Abraham had dug. Abraham is Isaac's father. These wells that Isaac is now going to dig or uncover were already dug before him. What are you trying to say, Bishop? What I'm saying is this. His destiny had already been determined by his father before him. He is just tracing his father's steps. He's just tracing his father's steps. You've got to understand something. Parents, moms and dads, single moms, single dads. You are digging wells for your children. Make sure you dig two wells. You dig a well of wealth and you dig a well of strong spirituality, faith in God. Dig those two wells. Because if you don't dig those two wells, you're going to dig your children's grave. I need to share that with you again. You got to dig your children's wells. Two wells. Their faith in God, their spirituality, their connectivity, and their wealth. Let me break it down for you even more. We go and do everything that we possibly can for our children. I did and still do. Even though they're grown, I do to a limit because, they're grown and they need to be gone. But the bottom line is this. The bottom line is this. We go overboard sometimes. I get the Nikes. I get the designer stuff. I get all of those things. I make sure that they have a trainer if they're in athletics. I make sure they get to all of the practice. Do you make sure they get to church? Do you make sure that they're listening even now? Do you make sure that they're watching the right thing, listening to the right thing? You're trying to set them up to be a lawyer, a doctor, a rapper, or whatever the case may be, why don't you just set them up to be saved in the Lord? That's the thing that you have to make sure of, their destiny, because they're going to retrace these steps. Here's the second thing is, you've got to make sure that they have wealth. I didn't say rich. Rich is new money. Wealth is old money that you've invested. And they go together. If you give them wealth, if you give them everything and they don't have faith, they're not going to know what to do with it. So notice here, let's go back to the point here. You keep your destiny because Isaac is retracing his daddy's footsteps. Now, some of you are saying, wait a minute, Bishop. You don't know my past and you don't know my life. I don't even have a father. Don't know where my father is. Have no clue. Messed over my mom. I've never seen him. My mama talked trash about him, whatever the case may be. I don't know who he is. But baby, you got a Father in heaven. And he's laying out the things that he has for you. He's laying out. You can retrace those footsteps that he's laying out for you. He's ordering your steps. When you come into the knowledge of Jesus Christ, your Father in heaven says, I know what you have need of. I'm going to lay out your steps. I'm going to do a great work in your life. So you got a destiny. And verse 3 talks about the destiny that you have. You got a destiny. You got to keep on digging. You got to declare. You got to depend. Now, here's the next thing that you got to do, because here's the revelation. The revelation is, in verse 1, you got to just do it. You got to just do it. If you want your space in 2017, if you want God to do the things that he said he's going to do in your life, if you want all of those things to work out, you want to get elbow room, you got to just do it. You got to do it. You got to make a determination right now that I'm going to move forward in 2017, and I'm not going to let anybody or anything stop me, because it's Rehoboth on my side. That's the word for the day. I want to give you an opportunity that you can also give today. Now, if you're a life changer, I want to encourage you right now, life changers, to give. You want to give via the app, and you can go to your phone's app store and search New Life in Christ Interdenominational Church, and you can find the church's app. And you can give that way, or you can go online and give. If you're just watching today, we're not asking you to give. We want to add value to your life. If you're just watching today, we're not asking you to give. Thank you for watching. We're so thankful and grateful that you are watching. Give to your local church, and we're blessed that you're a part of us. It's the Morning Manna special edition, and I'm so thankful and grateful that you permitted me to be a part of your day today and to come into your home. May the Lord be with you. May his face shine upon you and give you peace. Share the manna. Share the manna. God bless you. Make it a great day. I'll see you Tuesday morning with Morning Manna, because I have MAK obligations tomorrow morning. Bye now.